everyone, it's Brianna with Journey On. Today I'm just going to chat about the grief onion that I've talked about. And if you are just new here and you haven't heard me talk about the grief onion, well, here you go. So I talk about grief like a grief onion, and because there's like layers to it, and we could have like that surface layer, like, oh, the initial death and the initial day we lost them, and then it's like the more that you dig into things or into your feelings and emotions or attachments or whatever the case is, it's like there's all these different layers. And even relationships, if you're having a tough time with, say, your family relationships, it's like, because it's so tied into grief, it's like another layer of that, as well as, say, values and boundaries are part of it, and your loved one's past, their choices, or whatever is going to tie into the person that you lost. So my grief onion for me, entails past trauma with my brother, because he died by suicide and he's a military vet. And so part of my grief onion is his past trauma, um, recent trauma, recent stuff before he passed, things that I've done, the woulda, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Um, of course, like boundaries and values and belief systems. Um, the military, obviously, that's a huge one. But it's everything that it entails. And so going through grief and being on this journey, it's like as you go through it, mind you, there's no end. So there's no like, oh, I'm, gonna beat it, gonna beat grief. And but as you go through it and you just live life and have experiences, you're just going to keep peeling apart this like never ending grief onion, because it's all bundled up in this ball, and it's just a layer after layer. And so when I reference, part of the grief onion, that's what it is, because there's so many layers to it, and depends on the type of death that your loved one have. The layers can be very messy and can be very complicated. And I've had quite a few people that have passed away, but my brother's was the most traumatic, as the other ones weren't suicide deaths. And so this one has a bit more, or I want to say more, but like different types of layers and complications with my grief onion. And so there's a lot of things to like navigate with that. But everyone's like grief onion is going to be different, because we're all going to bring our own experiences. We're all going to bring our past traumas and our beliefs and everything that we are as a person. We're going to bring that to the table of grief, and then we are going to perceive the grief very differently, very, very differently. It doesn't matter if it's the same type of death. Me and my family members all address and approach grief very different, just like we all are going to grieve differently. So we all have a certain perception, we all have different beliefs, and so that's going to all tie into that grief onion. And so as you're on your journey of grief, you are going to be peeling apart that grief onion and handling certain parts of it, handling certain layers. And one of the next videos I will chat about, like digging into those wounds and clearing them out. So I hope you stay tuned and check out more videos that are to come.